The Sonic Movie Show is a weekly podcast that you could find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other services like YouTube. Just search for The Sonic Movie Show and give us a like wherever you listen. What's up, Sonic fans, and welcome to another episode of The Sonic Movie Show, the only show that's about Sonic news, and the occasional Sonic movie news, but even more occasionally, we do movie reviews. And we're going to do that today for a special video game movie review of the 2002 film Resident Evil. My name is Ethan. With me here is Devin.
I said keep it tight.
When I saw that part, I'm like, he's really telling a woman that he doesn't know to keep it tight, huh? Wow. But yes, that was a line from Resident Evil. Like I said, the 2002 film that kind of, I wouldn't say was the exploding thing for video game movies, but as we can see in a trend, it was a part of it. It was a part of Tomb Raider, essentially, and the ground laid forth by the Mortal Kombat movies and that terrible Mario and probably bad Street Fighter movie. This was kind of like, I would feel, the second of the two video game movies that actually could be, I don't want to say taken seriously, but like anyone that doesn't know that it's a part of a video game, that just sees a trailer or a poster, would be like, oh, this is just another movie. And they see it. You know what I mean? Whereas Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Mario, and even Tomb Raider, I guess, to a degree, are more of like, oh, yeah, this is that one of those video game things. So I don't know.
Bryn, like I asked Bryn, like, oh, have you seen any of these movies? She says no. She's like, but like, I know it's based off a video game. She didn't know anything about the video games, though. Like, I've talked about Resident Evil. I'm like, oh, I really want to play Resident Evil 2 Remake at some point soon. And she's like, oh, cool. But she never knew anything about it. Like, I asked her to guess what it was, and she's like, I imagine you're a soldier in, like, apocalypse worlds, and, like, I'm like, I guess that's, yeah, no, yes, no, kind of. But no.
So to catch people up at home, what Resident Evil is, it's a series of survival, not really survival, but horror games where a giant corporation has unleashed a virus by accident. And we see in the different mainline games different points of like day 0, or now it's day 13, and now it's day 35, and different people and different points, in time. I haven't played all of them. I played a bit of the original, which takes place in
was 96, by the way, for people at home.
On the original PlayStation. Takes place in a giant mansion, hence the name Resident Evil. Although in Japan, do you know what the Japanese name of this is? For some reason, they didn't want to take this awesome name.
I know it's on the tip of my tongue.
They didn't want to take this awesome name and bring it to America, and they wanted to call it Resident Evil instead, which is still a good name.
It's the alternate title for the most recent one.
For 7, yes. It's like the subtitle, and they're swapped.
Just say it, because it's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm not going to wait
Biohazard.
Biohazard, yeah.
Which is such a dope name. Resident Evil is also a good name, but they had Biohazard. Yeah, Resident Evil 7's subtitle is Biohazard, and in Japan, it's Biohazard 7, and the subtitle is Resident Evil, which is pretty cool. And yes, by the way, just another, since we're on the point of the names thing, the creator of Resident Evil, Shinji Mikami, he now works at Bethesda, and he has a horror game series over there, which is called The Evil Within, in America.
I haven't played it, but I know it's good.
I heard the second one's really good. Guess what the name in Japan is?
Within Evil? I don't know. I just guessed. I have no
Psycho
idea.
Break.
Psycho Break.
That's a dope ass fucking name too. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, these are not survival horror, but horror games with zombies, and we got some cool action people, but it's mostly about like surviving. Like you don't really get to like mow people down until like maybe 5 and 6 or like that. And these movies have nothing to do with the games besides the basic idea of what would happen if a giant corporation had a zombie virus, I guess. Yeah. Right? I heard one name drop.
I was going to say there's elements in this movie that, like plot points that are very close to the first two games, but like it's not like it's not the same canon, or it's not shot for shot.
Right. And so you said that you've seen this movie, right? Because you own it on DVD.
Yeah, well, my dad owned it and I stole it. I've seen this. I'd probably guess before this at least 4 or 5 times. I probably saw it for the first time when I was like 11, 12, probably, because my dad let me watch rated R films that he'd watch beforehand, obviously. So yeah, I've seen it a couple times, and I've always remembered liking it and thought it was cool. And then as when I was watching it now, when we're talking about when we're going through the plot or whatnot, but I just want to say that like there's elements in this that I remembered, and I'm like, oh, I remember the scene, and like I had a kind of a nostalgia for it. I'm not gonna lie, and I was like, oh, good, I'm jumping back in. But sadly, I haven't seen any of the other movies, so I've only seen this one and being like, I liked it, and then not have visited the other 5 that are out.
Well, that's okay, because we will eventually see them all. Yes, so this 2002 film was one I never saw. I always knew that the movies were bad, in quotes, because again, I never saw them, so it's a subjective thing, and that they had nothing to do with the video games at all. Like, not even any of the characters aren't even in it. So I was like, oh, then why watch it? But I always had the impression that the movie started when, like, video game, in that, early, I mean, this would have been 2002, so I guess early PS2, GameCube, original Xbox era, where, like, gaming didn't really hit what we consider mega mainstream until PS3 360, the Call of Duty kind of era. So I don't think before that era a video game movie could have been like, no, we can be just about the video game and people will still see it fine. Because it would have been like, oh, this is about a video game, blah, blah, blah. So my always impression of it was they wanted to do their own thing with the name just to get the people that knew about it in, have some of the elements because it's a cool maybe premise, or like maybe even just a cool context to have a story. And then the games kept selling more and more and more. Up in, like, Capcom makes Resident Evil, right?
Yeah, I have a...
Hold on, let me finish. Up until Monster Hunter World came out, the best-selling Capcom game by far of all time was Resident Evil 5, because Resident Evil 4 was such like a critical success. So like this became a bigger and bigger game series, an identity, and like a name. But since the movies were already a different thing, my impression was always that they just, well, we're just gonna keep doing our own thing because I guess we'll benefit too, right? So yeah. And then I watched this movie, I'm like, oh, I watched it for the first time. So
yeah, I was gonna add on to that with so my DVD has a little pamphlet in here with the scene selection on one side, and then a little note from, I don't know who actually wrote this, but it's just about because this is I have Resident Evil Special Edition, and it has just, like I said, little notes here, little facts. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but it did mention here that Capcom's Resident Evil video game series, comprised of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and Resident Evil Code Veronica, has sold more than 16 million units worldwide and grossed over $600 million. And that's when, and they said at this point is when producer Bernard Eichinger, chairman of the management board of Constantine Film, reached out to Capcom. So it was making bank. 600 million's a lot in the 90s.
Across those 4 games. Code Veronica was the Dreamcast game, I believe. And it's insane. Like, again, a deal was made before Resident Evil 4 came out, which is considered one of the best games of all time.
That game's
you know
amazing.
what I mean? They would not have been able to make the same kind of financial deal with Capcom if they did this after that game, right? Yeah. So it's insane. I mean, we see that nowadays where like Pokemon Go was such a huge success that once those first numbers started coming in, that's when Legendary approached Pokemon Company for Detective Pikachu. Like that's when that happened, right? Because of the success. But like here with with Capcom, they got in while it was still building before it didn't hit its zenith.
Yeah, they were granted the film rights in '97, so a year later. That's insane. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So you watched it on DVD.
Yes.
I watched it on Amazon Prime Video, and so like I wanted to see, are any of these free on Prime? No, they're not, unfortunately. But I type in, Resident Evil, right, and I see all the movies on there. For some reason, and there's like 5 or 6 of these movies. For some reason, only the first and the last one haven't a 4K version. For some reason, they didn't want to do any of the middle ones. And I went to go see. I'm like, what's the price difference between the 4K version? $3? No, never mind. Like, this isn't a movie I don't think is going to benefit very well from 4K anyway. So I'll just watch the regular 1080p version, which wasn't what it was filmed for anyway. So
yeah.
That was kind of like our build up into watching this film.
I was gonna say I have a couple more facts for you if you want.
Okay, yeah, hit me.
So the director and producer Jeremy Bolt, director Paul W.S. Anderson, they also worked on Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, and Soldier. So Mortal Kombat, in a way, like you said, led the way to this movie, and you have some of the same people working on it for this one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, right here. This movie is shot entirely in and around Berlin, Germany. They looked at a whole bunch of places, and they actually filmed mostly in Reichstag U-Bahn station, which is like a subway station, and a couple places in the Castle Schloss Lindstedt, which means like castle, I believe, if my German is correct. And the sound stages of Studio Aldershof in East Berlin. I thought that was cool, how they went for like that East German vibe, and that's where they filmed. Also, can you guess who worked on the music for this?
Is this a name I would know?
Yes, one of the people. Think about 90s.
My gut says Danny Elfman, but I have a feeling that's not true.
Think of like a artist in the 90s who like when you think of horror.
Oh.
Marilyn Manson.
Okay, yes.
Marilyn Manson.
I'm not going to pretend that was my first guess, because I was thinking Nirvana at first, but Marilyn Manson does make a lot of sense. Oh my god.
The film's original score would be composed by Marco Beltrami from Mimic and shock rocker Marilyn Manson. And
you know what? Without jumping into the actual thing too much, that was one of the few positive things I had to say about the movie.
The music? Dude,
yeah.
The music is banging in this. Like, I remember like when I was talking about the nostalgia thing, once like I opened the menu screen popped up and it was playing that little like it's a little stinger that I was doing with like the synthesizer with the beats, and I'm like, dude, this is like that 90s like early 2000s grunge like dubstep.
And it worked in this film. There was a couple moments where like there's tension and there's violence in combat where it would be like dun 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 dun, dun, and then it would just do that for a bit, that kind of thing going on, and then it would just stop.
The closest thing,
and then it would start back up again. And I'm like, this is actually pretty well thought out. I'm actually surprised that. I mean, I just blew my mic's levels by clicking my fingers right next to it, but I was actually surprised that it was as good as what it was.
I was going to say, too, the closest video game that I can think of to this type of music is, I would say it's a little bit heavier, though, is Killing Floor games that they have, like, it's like metal mixed with, death metal mixed with, like, instrumental, like, house. It's, like, weird. I don't know how to describe it, and it's just very, like, a lot of bass, but also a lot of beats, cool beats to it, but also guitar, and like it had elements of that, and I'm like, man, I wonder if they were inspired by these movies. Like, we haven't watched other movies. I'm hoping they keep the similar sound, because the soundtrack is real good in this movie. Something that
remember when BioShock Infinite came out, and its music just sounded like Terminator. Like the combat music. No, I haven't heard it. Combat music. I'm like, this is just fucking Terminator.
Terminator T2 is a good soundtrack as well.
Yeah, it doesn't fit 1918 idealistic America. So,
but no, yes. Yeah, those are my facts. That's what I wanted to bring up there from the sheet. I'm like, oh, okay, man.
And this was a big break of a film for Mila Jovovich.
Mila Jovovich.
Okay, I don't know if it was pronounced Jovo or Yovo.
Oh, other last fact. Now I just remembered. So Mila Jokovic, which one of the reasons I think I saw it so much as a kid is because maybe I had a little crush on her because she's pretty. And she's also part of the movement. You know what I'm talking about. I guess she's married, sadly, to guess who? You won't be able to guess it. But the director of this film, Paul W.S.
Really?
Anderson. This is how they met. So
Now imagine, I liked her in this movie. I liked her in this movie. Imagine if she was a terrible actor, though. But because she's married to the director, he's like obligated to put her in. No, this was like a big break for her. I mean, she was in other things before.
Yeah.
She was in a lot of stuff before, but like this was a like, no, this is your thing now.
We also can't forget our girl, Michelle Rodriguez.
When I saw her pop up, I'm like, God damn it! Like everything we fucking watch for this show is connected.
So I'm like, there's our Vin Diesel connection there.
Now, I guess
everything in Hollywood's
to
connected.
be fair, we haven't seen her in a Vin Diesel movie yet. But
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, but Fast and Furious.
Yeah. We will. With this year, we will. Pretty soon, actually. I think it's in a couple more episodes of the Chronicles of Diesel. We'll finally get to our Michelle Rodriguez fix. And this was the year after that movie, I believe. Fast and Furious 1, I believe, was 2001, if I'm not mistaken. So this was 2002.
Budget
so
$33 million, by the way.
And really?
Budget $33 million, box office 103. So
Yeah.
3 times, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make Tomb Raider's box office, which was $274 million. So it didn't make that, but it still definitely made it in the triple digits, which was uncommon for video game movies up until that point. Pretty much it was just Mortal Kombat and then Tomb Raider were the only 2 triple digit movies in the millions until Resident Evil. So,
and fun facts, because we were joking about it before we started, this is technically, I know it came out in 2002, but this is a pre 9/11 film because they were already doing work on it. March 5th, 2001. That's when they started doing principal photography in Berlin. So this is before we lived in a post 9/11 world. So keep that in mind when you're watching at home.
I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. A lot of film, television, and games changed apart from 9/11. I think famous example is Lilo and Stitch, because he literally hijacks a commercial airliner and flies it into a city. But none of that happens in this movie, thank God. I don't think they really had to change anything.
No.
So why don't we get down into it?
Let's get it.
This is a movie where I learned everyone's names after the movie was over. I did not know who any of these characters' names were until at the very end when she's saying Spence over and over again. I'm like, that's a name I can remember, but I don't know Mila's name until the credits said Alice. But in any
I don't
case,
think they mention it.
So I'm not going crazy.
No, I don't think they mentioned it until later.
Because, like, again, none of the actual video game characters are in at least this movie, and I'm 99% sure they're not in any of the other movies. But, like, if you didn't know that...
character names are dumb. Have you seen the original video game character names? They're all dumb.
Sure. Fuck, I just forgot the name. So you just ruined that for me. Fuck.
I'm sorry.
What was... Jill. Okay. So, yeah, if you didn't know that the movie wasn't based on in the games really at all,
Jill Valentine,
you would think that she would be a Jill Valentine, especially
Chris
since
Redfield.
Especially since the end of this movie sets her up in Raccoon City, kind of like how Jill Valentine is in the third game.
Yeah.
And she has the same kind of haircut in that game as well. But any case, movie opens up. I guess we'll recap it briefly. Movie opens up. We're in an office space, and it's like very tense stuff going on. But before that, we get a pretty cool intro shot for the film.
The intro shot is a video game, 100%. I'm like, they had the, like, usually they'll have text on screen and like you're supposed to read it, right? But how often do we have a narrator who sounds like he should be in a, like, the intro of a video game being like Raccoon City 1986 or whatever, and then lists off what is happening? I'm like, that was cool. I don't know why. I liked it. Give me more of that, please.
Basically to tell us that the Umbrella Corporation owns everything. Amazon essentially owns everything.
Yeah.
And I like that their big, like, like visual identifier that this is still a giant presence in the world is just the fact that there are cameras. Think about that. Just the fact that there is a camera that can move. That is like they own us, you know? It's insane
Kind of
because
ahead of its time,
nowadays
too,
that's what our life is all the time. It's cameras everywhere. Because we're recording this in 2024. So, yeah. But, yes, and then we cut to a pretty cool shot. This is what I was thinking was like the real... I forgot about that actual Umbrella Corporation thing. But the actual, like, real intro to me was a very tiny screen looking, a box almost. We slowly zoom in, and then we zoom through the box, and it is basically a guy in a hazmat suit doing the thing where he's controlling arm apparatus to control things inside a sealed room. One of those kinds of things. They do that in Mission Impossible 2. And he's putting, for some reason, he's putting these vials into a case. The vials were already sealed. And
Double
the case is something, but the case is something that he's going to open up anyway outside normally. So if these vials were stored sealed and the case was stored in there, why did they need to go through all this? But I digress. That's a pretty cool shot. We don't know who this person is because we don't actually get to see them. But as they take the thing and they run, he pulls one out and tosses it, and then this starts the virus. So we go to this office building type of situation, which is where this takes place. All these people are going about their busy day, and then what happens? Like a fire starts? Because the fire alarm goes off.
Well, the fire alarm goes off because the AI knows that the virus is airborne and going through the air vents, so it just like
drowns it.
It's not even just drowning that, but I think it starts locking all the doors and whatnot. And they don't want anyone leaving because they know if anyone leaves, the virus is going to spread to a much bigger population.
Right.
We don't find that out till much later on in the film, but generally, yeah.
It's the rooms are filling with water. Everyone's panicking. You know, it's this is like the horror movie part of this. Like, this is the actual, like, we don't know what's going on and we're scared, like, and we might die, versus like there's a threat, but since we can kind of fight back. Like, those are two different types of horror in my opinion. This is like actual horror to me. Here is this kind of stuff where these defenseless people,
classic zombie,
are attacked.
Zombies are starting to arise, or so much commotion. What's happening? Whoa.
Panic and fear. Those two things.
I don't think it was that amazing, but also like...
Well, I don't think it was super great, but this is like the part of the movie that is... No, this is a horror movie if you didn't know before coming in. This is a horror movie.
Please leave the theater now if you're scared.
Yes. Take your children. You're about to see a nipple soon, so make sure you get the children out of here.
That's right. It's so quick. It's like, why even bother having it in there?
But you can pause the movie, Devin.
I know.
So we get a scene where they're on an elevator and this dumbass woman sticks her head out, and of course she gets decapitated.
I wish they showed it. Like, really like, I want to see that head roll. I don't know. This is me.
Maybe they filmed that and
they cut
who's the director's name?
Anderson.
The Anderson cut. Since every director's cut has to be named.
Years later, we drop a cut for this film.
Release it.
That's what they got to start doing, dropping cuts for films that are like 20 years old at this point.
And then we cut to the mansion, right?
Yeah, like it cut. Yeah, I think it does a cut from her head, and then it's our girl sitting in a tub.
Right.
Well,
she like had just fell down,
fainted
in the shower. This was confusing to me. I understand that they're trying to play up the amnesia aspect, but why the mansion? I get why, because Resident Evil, the first game, took place in a mansion. I get that. They wanted to have that in there, just like how they managed to fit the zombie dogs thing in there, because of that first game. But like, why was she there? Especially since she doesn't know anything. You know what I mean? That was very confusing.
I still don't know, after watching this movie, why was she at the house? Besides, like, I know we find out later
and she doesn't know what's going on because, you know, she's opening up all these drawers to get clothes, and she finds one that's full of guns, and she's confused. I'm like, okay.
So does she live here?
So you were a guest
Someone
then
else lived
because you
here?
didn't know
Yeah.
this. Was she invited?
Or does she do know it, but she has amnesia, so she doesn't?
Now we find out later that a gas or something was released that caused the memory loss on her and a couple other people. So she was probably there getting ready for their mission. She took a shower. The gas thing hit. She fell down into the tub and then forgot everything, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, it's not really built up as like, I don't know what's going on. I was here. How did I get, like, because she doesn't talk to herself at all. We don't get any of that at all. So it was very confusing. We get out into a hall. She puts on a very skimpy red dress. We quickly see a nipple. Or maybe if you paused it, it's the length of the entire film. She's out in the hall, and we meet two
Ethan
more
spent
guys.
8 hours watching.
Yes, just this JPEG. We see two other people. One is named Spence, I think, and the other, I think, is Matt. These two guys, it doesn't matter about anyone else's names, honest to God. And they're all confused. They don't really know why they're here. And then, like, military guys show up. And one of the dudes tries to say, one of the confused people is trying to say he's an officer. They're like, no, you're not. And they handcuff him. And she's still all confused. And other guy is still confused.
They, like, interrogate her, asking her, like... I think they asked, like, where is it or something? They're trying to interrogate her. I don't remember exactly for what. And she's like, I don't know, dude. I'm high as a
Which
kite
is
right
confusing because I thought they were also a team. That was kind of my impression later, was that, oh no, they actually do know each other, but she just doesn't remember. But this is a terrible setup, honestly.
Yeah, the pacing is weird at this point, and I 100%
It's
agree with
uninteresting.
you. I'm so confused.
It's uninteresting.
I remember asking Brent, I'm just like, so is she part of this team? Is she just here randomly? Does she live? Like, I'm like, I have so many questions that they don't even really answer.
Like, we know that the mansion is connected to an underground tunnel system that leads to the Hive, which is a terrible name for your secret laboratory because it sounds like everyone there is a drone.
I mean, they are. You're a
They
corporate god,
literally live
everyone
there.
is an ant to you.
Yeah.
All right, you're the queen. All right.
But
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, so whatever. We're heading to the Hive. And we're skipping things, I'm sure, but
They go on the
we're
subway
heading
there, and her husband or not husband is there.
Right, he is other confused guy, and handcuff guy is there. Big military dude. IMDb, I think, says his character's name was One. Maybe that's just his like call sign, One, because he's the leader, I guess. I don't know. It's like, we need to go do this thing, blah, blah, blah. We're going down to the Hive. We need to stop this thing. We're going to go do this. Let's
Turn
go.
off the AI. Yeah.
Yes. I think the idea of the virus is brought up. That it's there. So they're going down, and now we're in the Hive. And stuff.
Well, they get to that, like, they get in the Hive, and they're like, okay, we need to go find where the AI's, like,
Central hub kind of thing
central
is?
hub is, yeah, where their database is, so we can shut her down, and then we can explore and see what happened. Because I don't think they fully know to this point if everyone's dead, or, like, what I think they know everyone's dead, but they don't know, like, anything else besides that. So I think that's where we go next, is we go...
Yeah, because to be quite honest,
we don't see any zombies or anything yet.
Right, my memory jumps from subway to we're already at the laser room.
That's pretty much it. There's nothing. There was some dialogue, I think, with the characters, but I don't really remember too much.
Michelle Rodriguez pops up at some point. Then yeah,
Oh,
Or
she turns
split-
on the power. I think don't they turn on the power and then go to the laser room? I think that's what they do. Whatever. We're at the laser room.
Sure.
The guy,
Well, we're
the
in two
hacker
different
guy.
teams, right? Because Alice, hacker guy, leader one, because Michelle Rodriguez isn't a part of that group. So there's a separate team that's waiting in the back, further back. They have to go through this hallway to get to where they set up this
mainframe.
giant computer apparatus to hack old Hacky McRed Queen. Red Queen is the name of the AI, which is on the nose. Fuck, that just made me realize too. Our main character's name is Alice, and the evil person is the Red Queen. Gee, Alice in Wonderland. So they have to go through this hallway. Hacker guy's at hacking station. Mila is next to him because she doesn't know what's going on, man. She's just here. And then I think other confused guy might be there, or handcuffed guy. But anyway, there's cool military guys, and they're gonna go walk through this hallway.
They
And
disarm the hacker guy disarms it, right? But then doesn't. And then they have like this kind of cool laser thing.
It's just fucking with them.
Yeah.
Because the first time it's like high enough that you could very easily quickly duck, no matter your athletic build.
The guy's hand gets cut off, and I will say that effect still looked pretty good. I was worried going into this, and I'm like, I know there's CGI in this movie, and I don't remember how good it is.
That was fine because I think they just keyed out part of his fingers and then just made it red.
Yeah.
But then I think it's a woman that gets just cut in half through the face.
Yeah, her face
It's
is
why didn't you
slides
duck? You were in the back. You saw everyone duck in front of you. Whatever. Now the laser's coming back and it's coming on the ground. So it's really easy. You can jump. And this is where it fucks with him because right as the guy goes to jump, it just shoots up and goes across. So it just cuts him completely in half.
But the one guy there, he
way.
does this great upper body lift. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's impressive. I'll give him that. But then then it turns into that grid.
Just a grid.
And I kind of they didn't show it afterwards, but I
wanted to see the cubes of him.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to make a kebab out of him because I'm sure when he's
Ew.
cut up like that, you can get a little stick, put him on a little pit roast or something. Got yourself some
Disgusting.
steam kebab.
It's weird. They show all the dead bodies except his.
Yeah, probably because they're like, I don't know how we can
Render this. She's got to have to walk through this. Yeah.
I would imagine it actually would be a lot of blood though. I know the laser would burn.
I don't think it would cauterize.
I was gonna say cauterize. There's got to be some liquids. Oh, whatever. But yeah, they didn't show it.
The effect that got me was when his eye, you could see his eye was
Starting to.
that
was cool.
slide. Ugh, gross. That's where I went audibly ugh.
There's a part later on that I went but for a different reason. But we'll get to that later.
When the CGI happens.
Yeah.
So we go, he shut the hallway off for real this time. Huh? Sorry guys. That was just,
my beat.
I was joshing you. Then they go through the hallway and they set up the weird, tower of PS2s, silver PS2 tower.
He brought a PS3 to overpower the PS2.
Yeah, exactly. And then the AI manifests a hologram of a red little girl to taunt, because that's creepy, right? When an AI chooses I wonder what video game also does that in 15 years from 2002. So then the thing is I'm going to kill all of you. You're all going to die. And then they shut it off. Okay, now that we have this shut off, we can go further down in, because the thing had shut down the entire area, because we need to get the cure to the virus. But they don't say cure yet. They decide not to say cure until one of them's already been bitten. But then they go back. They see Michelle Rodriguez's crew of a few people. I think Handcuff Guy is with her.
Yeah, and the keys, I think, falls off Michelle Rodriguez's belt somehow. I don't know, and he's trying to undo his handcuffs, and then when all this is happening, that's when we finally see some
zombies. We do
zombies.
get one where they pass through a water tank and there's a dead woman floating in there, and after they all leave, then the woman sticks her hand
And
Oops.
you jumped, right? You jumped
Yeah.
real high.
I went, ah!
And you hit your head. You hit your head on the ceiling.
Yes. Yeah, so the zombies, and it's just, I don't want to say cliche, because this is, we've had a lot of zombie stuff since 2002, but it's just classic kind of zombie interactions with people that don't know what the zombies are kind of stuff, or like, shooting at them, what? They didn't die? I shot them with the bullet, and it didn't even flinch, and now I got shoot a bunch of times, and Michelle Rodriguez grabs that minigun or whatever, and just pop, 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 pop. Now it's been dead. They're getting swarmed by them everywhere.
One has an axe. I thought that was cool.
Yes. She gets bit.
She got bit in the hand initially by the first one. Yeah.
Cut it off. Cut the hand right off, and you'll be fine.
Does it actually work like that? Like if I got bit by a snake, I don't think I can just.
You can suck the venom out if you're fast enough.
In my Eagle Scout training always told me basically you can try to slow the poison by putting a pressure ahead of the wound. So like if it's on your like wrist, you put a bandana or something and try to slow blood flow. And I don't know how much the sucking out the venom works as much.
Cut it all off.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if there was cutting off any limbs for that. I mean, you're probably fucked regardless. Like I know some snakes that can kill you in within 30 minutes, but whatever. Just don't
snakes
get bit
aside. Zombie stuff. They get out. A couple of them. I don't think anyone dies in this scene. Handcuff guy is now freed guy. We'll call him Free Handcuff. I think he's Spence, right? Because he's the journalist at the end, right? Was that him?
I don't remember, dog. I think characters are
he was. I think lying about being a cop because he was actually an undercover journalist.
Well, one of them was trying to get in to just basically he was anti-corporation,
and he was not handcuff guy. That was
not
other
handcuff guy. Yeah, he was
so
business.
Handcuff guy was a good guy. Handcuff guy is now free man good guy. Free man good guy is now free man good guy. And they're going on, and Michelle Rodriguez is like, well, hold on, we're not all here. And then there's oh, yeah, we are all here. No one asks how the other people died. I guess maybe they need to see the laser grid room for themselves if they want to actually believe it. And then we move on, and now we're in office rooms, right?
Yeah.
So we're in office space. We're walking through the office space.
They were looking for... I think I don't remember if they're looking for the virus itself. I don't because we still don't know about a cure yet until later on.
Yeah,
Alice is starting to figure out things, she's seeing things, and it's triggering memories of, she was trying to get
making out with
in.
that guy.
She knew someone. One of the zombies was someone she knew.
Oh, right.
And Office Guy knew her too. And that was their connection with one another, that she was going to get them in so they can steal the virus.
Right.
To sell them.
After
Alice
I watched
was trying
this
to sell
movie...
it to the black market when other guy was just trying to destroy it. Or get proof to shut down Umbrella.
But apparently, in turn, it was actually the reverse. Because I think it's revealed that Alice was trying to shut Umbrella Corporation down. Because we keep seeing that flashback of her saying, I can get you the contact, I can get you in, I can get you blah, 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 blah. And Alice says, on one condition, that you can guarantee that we can shut Umbrella Corp down.
I must have forgot that part.
That was the last part of their reveal. But, when I finished watching this movie last night, I was like, that's not that bad. And it was actually kind of, interesting, and it was kind of cool. The more we try to talk about this movie, the more I realize this movie sucked.
I think it just had a bad flow of the plot. There's a lot of unnecessary. I get they had to give a reason for them to see more zombies or fight more things. It could have easily just been okay, let's leave. Fuck this. Let's just call the military. Because when all this was happening, they had to. We have to get back before it closes. The door closes because we have an hour.
Right.
But I'm like, so why are we in here for any further? Whatever. So it's like, then they realize they have a cure because they realize once you're bitten, it's only a matter of time before you change into a zombie, which I think they learned from the AI because they realize they need to
turn the AI back on
to get out because they couldn't get out for some. I forgot the exact reason they couldn't get out. Oh no, the power went out because they took the AI out, so the power went out. That's what it was. So they couldn't take the train back.
Right.
I think.
Okay. They find the cure, right?
They get to the room where the cure should have been, and
that's when Office Guy's like, I double-crossed you guys.
It was
I'm
me.
Bad guy.
I was the guy who pushed that one guy with the white shirt on and the coffee went all over him. That guy was like, hey, if that was me, by the way, I would have chased that motherfucker down. I would have been like, dude, I have a white shirt on. Like, and also we all live down here, so it's like, I can't
just confine you.
Like, I can find you, like, and like, I got coffee all over me. Like, I don't know about you, but if you went to work and your only attire that you probably brought with you, like a normal person would, and it was stained, like, embarrassingly, I'd be so pissed. And like,
I bet the company just provides them everything that they would need.
I hope, but like, that guy had a nice white, shirt on.
He kind of sucked though. Let's be real.
Oh, he sucked, but like, come on, dude! Like, chase that motherfucker down.
So
then he could have stopped He could have stopped him from betraying everybody if he just.
I'm gonna just speed through the rest of this.
This is fine. That's fine.
So we get the betrayal. We get a fight. We get a thing. We get people being split up. We're finding the cure. Alice is alone in a room. The zombie dogs are there.
I like the zombie dogs, by the way. They look real good.
They needed to have them in because one of the famous moments from the original Resident Evil is when a hallway that you've walked through several times in the game at that point already, which has like windows leading outside, the windows bust because zombie dogs jump through them and they chase you. That's one of the people consider that like the scariest moment in the game.
I mean, in the movie,
because an area you felt was
spooky.
safe is not safe, and so yeah, they have them in here, and it was actually pretty good. I mean, one of them jumps through a window. So that's almost a callback.
I do like how like she's in there, she sees the cages, and then like just like down the hall, you just hear a click clack from like the nails of the dog, and then you just see him, and he's just all bloody and shit. I'm like, okay, that's spooky. I like that. That's dope right there. I like that whole scene when she's. Then we finally see Alice in combat too. Yeah. Do we finally see Alice in combat there? She does
now
like
they
this
never say how
jump kick.
She knows how to do that.
Don't worry about it.
But
anime bullshit.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I mean, at one point when a bunch of zombie German shepherds are rushing you, and you just have one handgun, and they're all 5 feet from you, and she shoots them all one at a time in the head, and they all die. Like, that's great. I'm actually cool with that. But you do get a comedic beat where she's at one point trapped in a smaller room with the zombie dog. She opens the door to see 5 of them, and she picks the 5 instead of going back in to fight the one. Even though the one was the one that jumped through the window to get in that tiny room, but he doesn't jump back out the window. Whatever. He's a dog. Dogs are dumb. So yeah, all that stuff happens. Michelle Rodriguez is getting worse and worse and worse. But
she gets fucked up in this film. She gets bit like 7 times.
Damn! They go back, they turn the AI back on, they make a deal with the AI because we're going to fry you if you don't help us. And the AI's like, I just don't want the virus to get out, to be honest, because that's pretty bad for everything in this world. And you understand that, right? Would you rather live and have the world become zombies? She doesn't say that. The AI doesn't say that, but like, common sense here. Devin, if you had the choice between dying and guaranteeing that the world wouldn't be turned into zombies, would you choose that? You know? But whatever.
I guess the only thing I think of is like maybe there's one way in which like I get out of this alive and everything is good. But that's the selfish part of me. But yeah.
But because the AI is completely reasonable in this regard, even though it is sadistic, right?
It's its function, though.
It makes sense. What it's saying is practical. It does not want people to get to the virus. Because as far as it's concerned, no one should ever get into this compound ever again. because that only increases risk. And this AI does not take chances. So, but we outsmart it. At one point, a dude who got bit by the zombie, because they falls down into a pit of them, but he climbs back out. And he's just like, he does a thing where he's about to shoot himself in the face, but instead he decides he's gonna live. Good thing he did, because he was Hacker Guy, and Hacker Guy he fries the AI. That's right, which allows a door to open because there were zombies in there, or like, you know, the giant thing. That's right. The AI reveals that there's a giant bioweapon man. This is a super zombie man.
Yeah.
And every time he eats someone, he just evolves.
Yeah. He had like a brain for a head.
Yeah. And he's got this long ass lick-a-tongue.
That's what I thought of too. I'm like, lick-a-tongue.
Yes. I want a zombie lick-a-tongue.
Like PCP.
So the rest of the movie is that thing chasing them, but they're... Oh, bad guy. That's right. We see the thing evolve on camera because bad guy makes out with the virus, but AI's like, don't worry about him. I'm going to make sure that guy who just fucked you over dies. Lick-a-tongue kills him as he's trying to shoot up, which is weird how he preps himself like he's doing heroin when he's just taking a regular injection.
Bryn went to school for nursing, and she's saying, like, that's not how you would ever, like, do a vaccine or, like, something like that. And I'm like, well, would it look... Isn't that closer to what they do for, like, animals? She's like, yeah, if anything, it's closer to, like, if you were, like, putting a drug into a tiger or something like that, like, you need a bigger needle or, like, a bigger equipment to really get it done. But
it's just, like, the fact that he had the strap and he had it in his mouth. Like, that's 100% how you take heroin.
Yeah.
But this is a vaccine.
I don't know if they do it when you take blood, like, if you're having issue popping the vein, but I don't know. We're not doctors, so...
You just cut the arm open and stick it in the open wound. Would you rather be dead or have a missing arm?
Cut off your arm and put a machine gun on it. Or a sword.
Hell yeah. Oh, no sword. Maybe like a...
Or cut off your leg and put a machine gun and use it as a foot and a gun.
What a stupid movie that was. In any case, what a stupid movie this is. So, fuck it. We're on the train now. We're leaving. There's only a few of us left. We give Michelle Rodriguez the cure. We're about to give other guy the cure, Hacker Guy the cure, but Lick-a-Tongue attacks the moving train somehow. And Michelle Rodriguez, even though she got the cure, turns.
Yeah, I think it was too late.
I wish they said that, though, because my implication, the thought I had based off that, rather, was that, oh, it just doesn't work. Because, I don't know, whatever, but I assume, like you said, it was just too late for her. Someone else, oh yeah, Spence, gets fucking shredded in the shoulder by Lick-a-Tongue's 3-pronged claw, which is bad for him because that's a fucking deep ass wound. But he's apparently fine. Spence, by the way, was Handcuff Guy, aka Freeman, good guy.
Dr. Freeman.
There's substance to that. Yeah, so they fight the thing. It gets burnt. It gets electrocuted because it gets carried underneath the train, so it touches the third rail, or like the middle rail. Is that what it's called? Whatever.
Yeah,
the actual
the
powered
rail,
line.
Rail,
yeah, the actual powered line, which then makes it burst into flames, which I actually appreciated because that's realistic in how that would work. I would think, at least it would appear to be. So it's dead. When the thing is on top of the car, the train car, when Lick-a-Tongue's on top of the train car, and they hear it, the camera keeps panning all around to Alice with the gun, just doing poses in the middle of the train car. For a lot. It was actually kind of hilarious how, like, is the thing really jumping all around?
One of the gamer shots they're trying to get, because supposedly they try to have some shots that were close to how they were in the original games. So maybe, I don't know.
But in all those games, the cameras were at fixed perspective on each room you entered.
Yeah.
So, like, to be honest, and when we eventually do an episode titled, like, our video game movies, and we pitch our video game movies, one thing I will say there is that there should be a few shots where there is a stationary camera in like the top ceiling corner of a room that just is an overhead. Like, I'm surprised this. I mean, maybe some security footage they could argue does that. I'm sure at some point in this movie. But that, to me, that's Resident Evil's camera work.
Yeah. I want everyone to also, like, run into, like, they're trying to open a door and they couldn't because they pressed the button too early and then they die. They should have done that.
Yes.
And also,
I want someone to turn around with tank controls.
Yeah. Like, they do, like, 4 steps to turn full 360.
Yeah. So then they're back in the mansion.
Yep.
Everyone's dead except her and Spence, Alice and Spence. And right as she's about to give Spence the vaccine, which he'll die of blood loss anyway, because he has a giant gash on his shoulder, then the mansion doors open up and it's just hazmat people and they're here.
The E.T. people, and they're back.
Yes. E.T. dies.
But he doesn't. Spoilers.
I think I told you once someone made an edit of that movie where the credits roll after E.T. dies.
That would have been more traumatic. But a learning
100%.
lesson to kids, you know?
Yeah, life isn't forever, especially the extraterrestrial kind. So they take Spence away. We hear a name drop of Nemesis. Like, oh, we need him for the Nemesis project. I'd be interested to see if he actually becomes Nemesis. Because, again, I'm told that nothing video game related actually happens in this movie. So who knows what the Nemesis project is. I mean, they at least were kind enough to call the city Raccoon City. Like, Raccoon City is
they said
an iconic
raccoon
name.
weird. Or like maybe we say it weird. But at one point, I forgot who says it, but someone says raccoon. And I'm like, you mean raccoon? Raccoon?
No, I mean, raccoon does make sense.
Raccoon.
I've heard that before.
Je suis raccoon.
I say raccoon because I'm from Rochester.
Yeah, we're from Rochester. Yep.
I was at least happy because, I mean, Raccoon City doesn't sound like, Los Angeles, New York.
What if they like, they're like, oh no, the virus is spreading to L.A.
Toledo.
Austin.
Yeah. Quebec.
And
so Alice wakes up in a operations room.
The cleanest operation room, by the way. Like,
with a couple paper towels on her.
I was going to say this. Our healthcare system sucks in this country, right? And I used to work at a hospital, and I will say that is the cleanest. Like, yeah, it sucks that she was, like, captured.
Are you telling her that she should be grateful?
She should be grateful for the fact that at least the room was cleanly, and it was very spacious. Like, if you had visitors, like, you wouldn't have to worry about, like, who's sitting in the chair and whatnot. So I'll give them credit for that. Like, at least they treated her well.
When she wakes up, this is honest to God, one of my biggest fears in life is to wake up in a hospital just tethered to so many things, to so many parts of my body.
This is the part, like I was saying earlier, that, like, you were saying, like, ooh, at the one part, this is mine right here. I don't like needles. I've been tattooed and whatnot, but, like, I can never watch it. I've used to have allergy shots, but I still to this day can't watch a needle pierce my skin. And then the same goes to when you're pulling things out of your body, like
right.
she was, especially the one when it come out of her head. I was like, ooh, no.
Right. Well, I don't know if that was necessarily really jammed into her head because again, she does have a skull, but it was a reader of some sort because they shaved her hair line a bit there. Yeah, that's like one of my biggest fears. I mean, that is the appropriate reaction I feel like anyone would have, is to immediately rip the stuff out. I guess my first check would be like, do I feel like I'm dying? Because if I do, maybe I shouldn't pull these out.
But you also could be on, like, drugs.
Morphine and shit.
Yeah, morphine and shit. Sure. That you're like, oh, I'm good. And then immediately when you pull that shit out, boom, you're done.
But at least, these evil hospital people were kind enough to think about the potential shame she might have. So they put a couple paper towels over her. Mm-hmm. They clipped them on her.
Respect.
And she busts out, finds some clothes, and she walks out onto the destroyed streets of Raccoon City, shotgun in hand. Then the credits roll.
I like the pullout that they did with the main theme music comes, and I'm like, okay, like, give me more. I'm ready. Like,
Yeah.
as much as this movie, like, as we're talking about it, sucks, like, the plot points, I'm like, at least, there was moments where I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Like,
This wasn't 100% poorly made.
Yeah.
There were parts of it that I'm like, I appreciate this. Even though, as a package, I don't ever want to see this movie again.
I don't
I'm
think,
actually
like, it's a good
proud of
movie,
you
I think,
for
to
owning
have.
it on DVD.
Yeah. It's a movie, I think, that's good to have on the background. Like, if you're playing Animal Crossing, building your
Is it,
island.
though? Is it?
I need it, like, a movie for, like, a plot point that is loosely sewn together.
we didn't
I think
even
it's
know who
perfect
anyone
because, it
was.
doesn't matter when you come in. If it's a movie like, I'm trying to think of, like, a good example that has a lot of twists. Like, you're not going to watch, like, we always talk about The Last Jedi, but, like, you're not going to watch The Last Jedi in the background and be like, where am I? Like, any point in this movie, it doesn't matter where they are because there's going to be action.
Because
Like,
it's all bad.
it's, like, there's no, it doesn't matter where they are. Like, we didn't even talk about the whole, like, them balancing on a pipe scene and the one guy who you think is left for dead comes back, and it's like,
I mentioned that.
and
That
it's
was
like,
Hacker Guy.
Hacker Guy, yes.
But yes, I mean, I don't know. It's a
I
lot
think
of
it's
horror
a-
movies
it's-
you could say are like that. They can fill that role for sure. But
But as a horror movie, I don't think it was really that scary. I've watched a lot of horror films. I think it is my favorite genre. And I will say this movie, if I had to give it a scare factor, 2 out of 10 scare factor. But as an overall movie, I'm giving it a good old
1 out of 10.
4 out of 10. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4. I'd give it a 4 as well.
I had fun, I guess. You know, I had
I
some
will
nostalgia
say-
for it.
Even though like we were vaguely talking about video game movies without any part of like connection to each other, like this isn't like a chronological thing or whatever, like the Chronicles of Diesel. I will say at the very least I enjoyed this more than Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'll say that too. I would agree. I'd watch this again, I think, before I watch Mortal Kombat. Unless I'm like, I'm straight edge, but like if I ever have to do drugs, I'm gonna put on Mortal Kombat just to see what that's like. But this movie is definitely, I think, cooler, or like I guess it takes itself a little like serious. It takes itself seriously. I mean, we'll see what the other ones are like, but for the source material and whatnot, I think it does a decent job of getting that. It had video game elements in it. The music was video gamey in a way. It was cool. I think it was cool overall. I'll give it I think 4 out of 10 is fair. It wasn't a great movie by any means. You say you'll never watch it again? I think I would pop it in, like I said, if I'm doing stuff around the house. You know what I mean? I just want
Well,
something I
God
could
bless
tune in.
you. I support you like I support the troops. Well, the next Resident Evil movie
No one
came
knows how
out
much
too-
she supports.
you know what? Then who knows? The sequel to this movie came out 2 years later.
Yeah.
So at some point in the future, we will probably talk about that movie as well as the rest of these Resident Evil movies.
I think I'm going to buy that $30 Blu-ray pack. I think I'm going to do it.
I mean, God bless you. I can't guarantee
I
those will be
gotta support.
movies we'll
I gotta
do
support
anytime.
a fellow Democratic Socialist and Mila Jokovic. So
True.
and fellow Diesel head in me, Michelle Rodriguez. So you know.
And we're going to go see Monster Hunter when that film comes out.
Yes.
That was
Maybe-
another thing too. I forgot because I mentioned, how they got the film rights to this before the series hit big, and how Detective Pikachu happened when Pokemon Go first came out and made all this money. The Monster Hunter movie got announced shortly after the fact that Monster Hunter World became like Capcom's most sold game of all time. So like that was definitely a opportunistic, deal. And she's in that movie, and it's by the same director.
Now, if only we can get Dino Crisis remake, the second one, because I've played that one, and then we can get a movie. All right, and you can hire me to be one of the dinosaurs. I don't know.
I wonder how much of a deal
I would love to be in
Capcom has with them.
I don't know.
You know,
But I would love a Dino Crisis game A new Dino Crisis game and movie. I'm all for dinosaur movies. All right. So, and I want to be involved in all these projects. So please hit me up, Capcom. You have my number.
I want a good Street Fighter movie. If they're bringing Mortal Kombat back, and I would imagine
Well, we'll
it's
see
going
how
to be
this
a lot
goes.
better.
If Mortal Kombat is, I think, successful and shows it can be done well, I don't see why you couldn't have a Street Fighter or Soul Calibur.
I think it's just one of those things where the Street Fighter characters are very cartoony and like iconic looking that it's so hard to do that in live action and not feel like, you know, like the Street Fighter movies were.
Yeah, I think Mortal Kombat, the newer one, will.
I don't think that they can make a bad movie at this point. Like, I don't think that you can just allow that to happen.
Not saying I know.
Weirdly
Like
enough.
I'm saying, if it's successful and if it's received critically, in the sense of whether or not it's a good movie, I think could lay down the foundation for a Street Fighter movie. Because then you can just either copy and paste in a way, or you can build off that. You know what I mean? I mean, like Iron Man, we've talked about it before, like how Iron Man
Paved the way.
for Marvel, and then also DC kind of for that kind of, you know, type of movie. So I think we'll see what happens. I'm excited actually to watch the
For
next
sure.
Resident Evil films. And are we going to decide right here, right now, what our next video
I
game
think
movie
the
is?
next one should be Tomb Raider. What do
Okay.
you think?
I agree. I used to have that on DVD.
We're going to go ahead and watch Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the 2001,
Angelina
so 1
Jolie.
year prior. Angelina Jolie, famous film, the first one of these two. So stick around next time when we do one of these sporadic movie review podcast episodes. It might be in 4 years, it might be in 4 weeks, it might be in 4 days, who knows. So stick around then. In the meantime, why don't you go ahead and listen to our other episodes on the Sonic Movie Show on various podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, other places. YouTube is one of them, I know that. Go ahead and watch them.
iHeartRadio. Just kidding.
I actually don't think we're on there, to be honest.
You know who else isn't on there? Kimberly and Beck.
That's true.
No one's
Thank
in.
Christ. Thank Christ. And why don't you go ahead and follow us? I'm so goddamn tired. Follow us on Twitter. The show is on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. I, Ethan, am on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. Devin is on Twitter at CURSONAU2. And let us know what you thought if you watched this Resident Evil film. Whoops. The mic just fell onto me. If you watched this Resident Evil film, let us know.
When
See
I
ya.
get out of here, I think I'm getting laid. Or no, wait, hold on. When I get out of here, I think I'm gonna get laid. That was my backup quote.
That was a Michelle Rodriguez
Yes.
line.
But
And
I
think they laugh
said
at
keep
her.
it tight. I think that was just a little bit better. So,
Bye.
bye. Resident Evil.